Hello everybody, welcome. We are in the barony of Mitford, would you believe? How wonderful is that? Another amazing castle. Once before we paid this place a visit and we got a young French servant girl down here, caught on the necromancer, speaking in French because this castle was taken over by the French. This castle used to belong back just after the Battle of Hastings and William conquering the place. Mitford is placed between two rivers, and we are absolutely that here. The Wansbeck is literally just down the bank. We're right on the top of the biggest hill. An awful lot of people who live in this part of Northumberland have never driven past this castle, and from the outside it is massive and it's spread all over the place. I'll tell you about it and what it does. The history's amazing. John de Mitford, an English Frenchman, kinda. His castle was taken off him when guess who came here? William the Conqueror came here and gave the castle, took the castle off John de Mitford, gave it to one of his knights, a man called Sir Richard Bertram. Didn't give Sir John de Mitford any say, took his daughter Sibylla, who's sent to haunt this place, tell you her story a bit later. Sibylla was given to Sir Richard Bertram as his wife. Imagine, this is the equivalent of a Sunderland fan having a nice house and then the French arrive, completely take it over, kick him out of his house, grab his daughter and give it to a Newcastle United fan. And probably the Newcastle United fan that was on that advert with a big belly who said, "It's Newcastle." So could you imagine the kind of trauma? And maybe because she was taken against her will and given to someone, her arch enemy really, maybe that's one of the reasons that this whole place is stained. What you probably don't realise, Little Mitford was a force long before a lot of the other towns hereabouts. Certainly more so than Morpeth, which is probably the nearest one, which is kind of over there. And there was a saying at the time that this was the grandest estate in all England because it travelled from here in Northumberland all the way to Chopwell, Rothbury in that direction, all of the land in between. It was all belonging to this estate, to the Mitford estate. The Mitford girls you may have heard of, we'll talk about them a bit later because, blimey, we've got glue from this part of the world that links together. You're going to hear about Hitler, you're going to hear about Sir John Betjeman, you're going to hear about kings and queens all coming here. Incredible. This Mitford was granted a marketplace. Now, markets tend to be the way that you can tell how big and how sophisticated populations are. This castle here has been used for all kinds of purposes, ranging from extreme torture, kidnappings, sieges, massacres, and this place was completely wiped out. But I've got a ton of history, as you would expect, on the Ghost Historian. This place, Mitford, was granted a market in 1110, 50 odd years after William conquered. And this place then belonged to a French dignitary. Now, Morpeth didn't get its market until 1196, but in 1110, Mitford had one. And there's a saying that Mitford was Mitford when Morpeth was none, and Mitford will be Mitford long after Morpeth's gone. And looking at what's here, you got to think, they're probably right. This castle isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So we're going to be planting a few traps. We're going to be looking around. I know it's late, but the last time we went out, we caught spirit, and nearly all of you saw it, which is great. I mean, literally 90% of you managed to clearly see the ghost that we captured, which I thought was tremendous. So let's get to it. Let's have a look around. Let's go and point out our ground. And then once we've staked it out, we'll start planting a trap or two. Now I've got to try and find my way to get back out. I'm going to put the necromancer on while we get ourselves back to the top. And I must say that our gadgetry has not been working very well.
The signal's a bit dodgy tonight as well. That's why I'm up here.
Right. The signal's dodgy, so we're going to just have to do the best that we can.
Yeah. This is the rough mix. It's getting recorded in HD, just in case it goes off.
Anything that you missed tonight will be available later, so let's crack on. I have to come back down here again. Ow. Tony, there's other people here.
Is there?
You just have to be respectful for other people coming up here too. So let's get around. All right. So we can move around to the other side where we don't have to be followed. I'm just carrying a ton of equipment with me at this present time. So let's get round there. Excuse me. Oh dear. Oh, that's a shame.
That's how high we are.
I wanted to demonstrate how the castle works, and it's actually quite difficult. Can you get to the front of the castle, Tony, or not?
No, it's a big drop.
Well, show them.
Yeah, I've shown them the drop. It's like,
My goodness.
you can see.
Now the castle wall runs right along here. Ooh. I see what Tony means. It's a canny drop down. But this is, if ever you were going to try and take a castle, it's this whole area that people would have to come and try and battle up, crossing a small river that's just down the bottom. It's more of a mire and a clarty burn than anything else. But why is the castle in this state? Well, the castle was attacked by the Scots, who completely took it. And Tony, let's have a slow walk around the top, because there's a lot of castle that way too, but you've got to just go to the edge there and just show them, because this is the killing field.
The sun's ruining the shot. It's too
bright.
bright.
Is it? All right. We should have known. I've had to pick up all the glumper just because of other people being around. You've got to be a bit careful.
People already up here?
Yeah, there's a couple of young lurvers sitting at the window. But if you come down here, I don't even know whether you can do that, Tony, can you? I'm going to have to use the night vision camera at some point, aren't I?
Yeah.
But look at the damage that's been done. This castle, once an absolutely amazing building, a super strong building, a stronghold that did everything that castles are supposed to do, intimidate the opposition. Nobody's going to come here and try and attack what we do because we've got all of this. Didn't stop the Scots. Got so many stories about this castle and a church that hopefully we'll have time to visit. Now, this building, look at how thick the walls are. Just look at this. I mean, in comparison to me, I'm an ant, you know? Huge, thick walls. It didn't stop the Scots. The Scots came here and they wiped out every man, woman and child herein. Everybody died. The castle beyond that was considered cursed and abandoned, and yet there's still so much left. And if you keep walking around, are you able to come down or not?
Well, I'm
See
all
if
right
you
for
can.
now.
Come around here. Now the area in the round that has some incredible and very, very large tree arrangements, right in the middle, there's a sanctuary arch, which is that there, that's behind us. The sanctuary arch was precisely for that. If somebody had committed a crime, if somebody had committed a murder or something, they could come to the sanctuary arch in the castle and be granted freedom. And yet, when the Scots came here in 1318, and it was literally about 6 months before a truce was put in place between the English and the Scots came and just took out the people who lived here and left their bodies on the hillside to rot. So there's a lot of blood on this ground. The Scots wrote this in one of their rhymes. The Mitford men were roast alive in the castle on the hill. The stench of their cooked skin befell the land. 'Tis all cursed and still. And then, as I mentioned, it would later be abandoned. But if you have a look at, come over here, Tony, and we'll show you the centrepiece of the castle, which is this area here. Right the way around, you can see, I don't know if you can see the tiny, the remnants of the wall. I would love to think we could go down there, but I don't know about signal. Shall we?
No.
Shall we try?
Yeah.
Let's give it a go. So down here, the main square, there was all kinds of stuff here. A lot of people believe that there was shops and stores and bathhouses, billets for soldiers. And now nature, like nature does, steals it back again. Look at the girth of this particular tree. Now, in the 1800s, a story went round that the castle had been abandoned because it had been taken over by the elfin folk. Now, if you're a follower of Lord of the Rings, you love the idea of that the elfin folk came. And Tony, stop just for a second, because round here, if I'm correct, there should be a little entrance. There you go. In the grand tree, the elves would come in. There's a tiny little hole, and the elfin folk would come out, and they would climb out of the hole and come and dance around and do all of that. And you can understand this tree must have been here for centuries to be able to achieve everything that it has. Look at it, it's just one of the biggest and wildest and craziest things. So head over here, too. So around the outside of the castle, they had toilet block. They also had a balm mill here as well, which is essentially a central circular area where you could parade troops, carry out ceremony and all that kind of thing. And the other side of the castle, just to show how impenetrable it was, you've got to look out of the far sides here. And because it's a sunny day, we've just realised this is far, far busier than we'd anticipated. But you never know till you come, so we're going to rock on. So once again, arches leading down to the River Wansbeck. Look at how difficult it would be to try and do battle up here with people chucking down hot oil, massive stones, arrows flying. It is amazing. Just go around the wall too, just follow it around, show everybody exactly what we've got. It's an old-fashioned Mott and Bailey castle, but the ground under our feet has also been an old Saxon earthwork, a fortress. And some people say that this place was a fortress, but an earthwork fortress, no bricks, no mortar, no stone, in Saxon times. Some people have suggested it could be as early as the 500s, which is incredible. And the other thing that's interesting is when they were digging in the church, and I don't know whether you can see, but just through the tree there you can see the steeple of a church. That's the Church of St Mary Magdalene. And that church, they were digging in the foundations of the church, and they discovered that they found a previous Saxon place of worship there too. So the Saxons were here long before anybody else. There's also a thought that the Romans were around this place too. They loved finding a hill as grand and as thorough as this. And in all directions, you can see where the castle wall was. It came right around here, and then it just fell away into nothing. How do you build so? Look at hell's teeth, Tony. Just, can you see all the way down here? This is, if you were on the top of the wall, how the hell would you get into here? And yet the Scots did it. The wild men from the north came pouring up these hills. Now the river's just over there, and there's a burn that leads to it as well. A burn on the opposite side too. And this entire complex, literally a killing machine. The castle was seized at one point by King John, who ended up using it as a prison by Sir Gilbert de Middleton, a prison that was so savage that people would starve to death. Now, think about this for a second. Imagine you've captured your enemy, whoever you consider your enemy to be. You could spend a fortune on meat and milk and feed them, but they're your enemy. Why would you do them any favours? So they didn't. They let them starve to death. They let them become diseased. They didn't treat them. They waited till they died, and then they buried them. Now, a cemetery was found in this complex, and it took them up till 1939 to do it. But they found a cemetery here, and in the cemetery they found members of the Mitford family, or people connected to them anyway, and they found graves from the 1100s on this hilltop. It's said that some of the dead that they found had their skulls crashed open as if they'd been smashed by something. Others have said, no, a lot of those graves were the people that were imprisoned here by Gilbert de Middleton. Now, he was there's no nice way to put it, he was a sod. And he did everything wrong in every possible kind of way. Let's see how far around we can get unencumbered if we can. I think the thing now, you can see the sheep are here, you can see where the sheep have cast. So this is obviously used as kind of farmland by people. A couple of young lovers trying to get out the road of the family. Don't want to sit on the couch next to me mum and dad. We've all been there, so I cannot blame them. A few other people have just trolled up in the car, but we'll be here longer than they will, and then we can start doing a proper search of the ground and see if we can pick anything up anywhere. Now, as I say, the last time we were here, we were down in the catacombs, and down there we picked up a French voice that was amazing. To be honest, Tony, what I'd like you to do, if you can, is if you could pull out a little bit of it.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
That would be great, because it was, at that time, it was one of the coolest things that had happened on any of our hunts. So you come back around and you see they followed, as far as I can tell, the castle itself followed the shape of the hill itself, which I suppose is the easiest way of doing it. Look at this. How many people over the years have died trying to get in here? Look at this. Looks like the pit to hell down there.
There's been a few people chucked off this.
Could you imagine it? Well, if anybody tried to get in and they were reaching the top of a castle wall, I don't know how they'd do it. Look at down there, it looks amazing. You're on here with a spear and you're just not going to let them in. And miraculously, you can see the stones are here everywhere. And I know a lot of the stone was robbed for a whole raft of different reasons. But it's just that. Now, last time we were here, it was a damn sight darker, and it's pitch black down there. But we can't. We would go normally, but
get back up.
that's one thing. And the other thing is you'd get no signal if we were down there too. So let's bring it round. Look at this. Another chunk of wall. Some more broken down wall here, but you can see where the foundations were. And round you go. Now on our way out, you'll be able to see the grandeur of this place with the other tower on the end, because maybe placing a tower there, because that's arguably a slightly easier route to get in. And then you come over here and you can see the Church of St Mary Magdalene just over yonder. And you can see our friends the sheep. Now a bridge over the burn over the far side, and sheep with lambsies. We're not going to incommode them. We've already had trouble this season with little lambsies. But just look at the size and the space and the area, and imagine a Scottish army charging down that valley and trying to get up here, try and clamber up the walls, try and put steps and ladders in place. And here is the outside of a castle wall. Tony, we might be able to just get down here a little without dying, ideally. Now, okay, you're a Scottish marauder, or you may be one of King John's men, because he took this castle. When you got to the top, and let's remember, it went up about another 10 feet. Once you got to the top of the hill, charging and screaming with your claymore. And the cool thing is, if you actually look at the outside wall, more than the inside, you can see where people have fired shots. There's obviously a musket ball or something's gone into these. And the whole place is pitted with them. Are you able to come in, grab them if you can? And here we are, snails and spiders and all kinds of stuff. I think this is probably as far we could get into this little piece here, but I'm not sure that I'm seeing a reason, because then we'd have to come back along and. But it's just this, really. You know, you've got your armour on, you're ready to fight. Now what? There's a guy up there with an arrow. But the Scots did it. They lost an awful lot of men doing it, but they made absolutely certain that everybody inside the castle paid with their lives. They set fire to the place. They set fire to the living alongside the dead, certainly according to that rhyme. And you could smell death everywhere that you went. There's lots of birds of ill omen here too. Lots of crows in these. Look at the size of the, you know, the tree that we were at before. Look at the size of it. I wonder how many secrets it has to tell. And then we moved back down. Oh. Now, round about 1310, before the Scots came here, Sir Gilbert de Middleton, a knight. Ooh, hang on. Now, you'll understand that we would be ghost hunting immediately, but we have there's a good half dozen people hanging around. We don't want an audience, so we'll tell you more stories now. We'll save the ghosty stuff for a little bit later, but do stay with us. I love all of this. Little architrave. And you can see people, who knows? Was this a toilet? What the hell was it? It was obviously built there on purpose. It was a door. Maybe it went down, and it probably did go down another 3-4 feet, because you can see that they've actually built a physical arch to allow people to go down there. Maybe it was one of the ways in. Not easy though, not easy to get in. But this guy, Gilles de Middleton. When you think of a knight, Tony, what do you think of? Describe it. If I said describe a knight, what would you?
Armour.
Armour.
Face mask.
Yeah, helmet.
Sword.
Sword. What about his character? He's a knight.
Oh.
Good guy, bad guy?
Oh, good.
Chivalry?
Yeah.
Defending women and all that kind of stuff?
Well, yeah.
Well, you think, you know, the knight takes his...
Honourable.
His honourable. But these are the words that we all consider a knight. Now, Gilbert de Middleton was none of them things. He was a knight, absolutely. But he started kidnapping people, realising that if he kidnapped people that had a lot of money, they could come and their families would give de Middleton a fortune to get their husband back, to get their son back, to get their cousin back. And he used this as a torture prison, an extra place of extreme torture, so we're in the right place for ghosts, and to keep people kidnapped, to hold people. We know that he held some French here in the cells where we were before. We know French servant girls with rich French ladies were held here. We also know a man called de Beaumont, who was incredibly wealthy. He was here too. And he was held, and they had to try and pay off Gilbert de Middleton so that they could get him back. That was the deal. Now, around that time, de Middleton managed to capture not just de Beaumont, who was the head of a very rich, wealthy and powerful family. They also managed to arrest half a dozen cardinals from the Vatican City that the Pope had sent here on purpose, because Mitford was such an important place. Hard to realise the Pope sent people here because of its importance. And also with the two cardinals, there was the man who was just about to become the Bishop of Durham. He managed to get 500 marks from the bishopric of Durham. Now, beyond that, de Beaumont was well connected to the king at the time. Now, the politics of that particular time was a lot of the Scots and the English were still doing battle here in the North Country. There was an awful lot of blood and guts splattered all over Northumberland around that time, because the Scots claimed Northumberland. They were trying to get it back. It had always been a big lump of Scotland. So you end up getting Gilbert de Middleton right in the middle of it. And the king said, "What are you doing? Capturing and holding hostage members of the church." And of course the Pope complains to the king, and the king says, "What's going on up there in Mitford?" And a man called Ralph de Greystoke, I've got my names right so far, I will fall over before the end of the show. Ralph de Greystoke, the same family line that Tarzan was supposed to come from, but he wasn't real. Ralph de Greystoke arrested Gilbert de Middleton, took him to Newcastle upon Tyne, to the quayside, put him on a boat and sent him to London so that the king could hold a trial to see if he was treasonous. And it was thought around that time that Gilbert de Middleton was loyal to the Scots, which was why he was kidnapping and holding for ransom all of these English people and English clergymen. So he was told to be hung, drawn and quartered. Again, Tony, I have to ask you, because you're my only audience at the moment, what does that mean, hung, drawn and quartered, would you think?
Hung, drawn, so he's stretched out and then chopped up.
He's spot on, as near as damn it. except in the detail. You were drawn before you got to be hung. You were drawn, your hands were attached, or your feet, either way, were attached to a wooden board by manacles. And you were dragged, drawn behind a horse through the streets so that everybody could chuck rocks at you, bricks at you. By the time you got there, your entire front, if you were face down, or your entire back was torn to pieces. Because you would only have a pair of trews on, naked apart from that. So your flesh would be torn to pieces, and people lobbing bricks and spitting at you and hitting you with fruit. So you were you were drawn, hung and quartered, but it didn't have that snazz of the phrase. When they hanged you, they didn't kill you. They hung you until you were really poorly. They hung you until you were, and on the very edge of death, they'd pull you down from the gallows. Then they did two things before they killed you. First of all, they emasculated you. They cut off Big Jim and the twins, and they'd throw them to the crowd, and the crowd would roar. Now, if I got hit in the face with somebody's meat and two veg, I would be less than happy, but presumably it's the best memento you could have. I've got a lord or an aristocrat's package. So they emasculate you, then they cut you from sternum, from your breastbone, all the way down to the top of your groin, so that all of your insides could fall out. And then they place you lying back on a board, and an axeman comes, takes off your head. The head is then taken to one of the oil burning torches, where they would put the head into the oil, into the tar, to seal it so you don't get blood on your nice new suit. And then you would stick it on a pike so that everybody would see he was a traitor. What a swine he was. So the theatre of death back then was incredible. I mean, it was grand theatre, gruesome, grisly, but everything incredibly well choreographed. And Gilbert de Middleton paid with his life for his criminal behaviour. Right, let's get back up. Now, I know we are risking bumping into people, so if you see people around, they're not dead, they are humans. But we will try and show you as much as we can. This is the top part of the castle, which I think is absolutely stunning. And I want to do some research here. I want to see what we can find, especially in these middle areas. Just seeing like there's 200 or 300 crows on a dead tree in the middle of the forest over the opposite side of the valley. And I always wonder how that happens, how you get a dead tree in the middle of a living forest. And then you come up to my favourite part of this castle, which is just here, where you can see the lich gate of St Mary Magdalene and the steeple, and the cars of our guests, unwanted by us, but allowed to be here just the same as we are. Have you had any feel here? It's hard when there's other people around.
I know, I think that's the best place, but I think that's where they...
Is that where they are? Yeah, and you don't want to get started with something if people are going to walk in. It's a nightmare.
But no, it's definitely in there last time because we've got loads of...
I know.
Loads of bits, but I think that's where they've settled.
They've set up, are they?
Settled.
Have they? They're hanging around, are they? Oh, right. Yeah, there's a distinct aroma in the air. If I say Pepe Le Pew, you know what I mean. Now, I remember when we did a trip to Morpeth Castle, we had a similar problem when we couldn't do our ghost hunting in that place at that time.
Got some writing on the wall, Thompson, like On the ledge?
You know, I see it. It's yeah, and there's something here that has been here.
I think it says Thompson.
Yeah, I think, yes, it looks like Thompson. And do you know, because if you see the way that the T's been carved with a curl,
Yeah.
that may well be graffiti from like 17 or 1800.
Amazing.
It
Oh,
is.
that one says.
And there's the lich gate. I don't know, can you see that with the sun going down in the distance?
Yeah, it's a bit better now. It's not as
I
bright.
think you can, for sure. And just around on this this rise, you can look down to the cells where they were. And the steps down are just here too. They are quite amazing. Yeah. So we're surrounded, kind of like the people who fought in this castle were back in the day. Do you want to go down the river?
We won't get a signal there, but we can go down.
Well, it's just we could stand around and wait till they go, and they might take an hour, or they might take 2 hours, or we can go away and maybe come back.
Yes.
If we disappear, our apologies to you. You know why we're doing it, and we're doing it for you because we want you to have the best ghost-like experience, the best hunt, and some great stories on the way. And we have plenty of stories. Down by the riverside, where one of the main battles took place, right here, right around this castle, I mean in all directions. And the Scots destroyed the church yonder as well. That was a marginally unnatural noise right there. I think we're going to have to do it, Tony. I think we have to bite the bullet.
Yeah.
Sorry everybody, if we do go off, we will be back throughout the course, but it might pay you to just watch on Sunday. I think maybe it would be the best idea. Let's get away.
Hopefully it doesn't.
It's frustrating because we came here to spend the night here, really. Spend a night here with you guys, but we've got a couple of kissy poos going on over here. But easier going down than it is coming up, Tony. But we're going to have to do it again, aren't we? We'll just head down and maybe we'll be able to look up at the castle and just see how great it is. Oh, it's frustrating. So I mentioned that the castle had been set on fire and everybody inside it had been burnt to a crisp. That was 1318, and yet from that moment on abandoned, and to this day people are stunned that they would leave construction the size of this. And back then it had an awful lot more. A lot of the stones have been stolen over the years. I think you've got to come around here too. We're getting to the people's way, man, so come on, let's get out and we can come back, and if they're still here, we're buggered. That's the deal. But you see, the good thing about this whole place is that this is killing ground. This is ground where death became a daily occurrence. And whether we're in the castle or whether we're around it, people absolutely died here, and died in numbers too. Now I mentioned that before the Scots ruined this whole place, King John, King Richard the Lionheart, the French people we're talking about, King John and King Richard Coeur de Lion, Richard the Lionheart, they hated each other. The Lionheart killed while holding a siege to a French castle, because a lot of France belonged to England at the time. And I have two stories about the river, and they're both ghost stories. So when we're down there, we're going to set up straight away and start looking. really boils my backside that we couldn't just get started. But anyway, it is what it is. Let's get into the dark and rock on and do something very cool. If it's not cool, we don't want to be doing it. And hanging around waiting for people who are sharing a joint. Do you really have to come up to a place like this? Yeah, but anyway, you know, whatever.
That's perfect setting.
I suppose. Yeah. I don't know whether does this take you to the river? I know, because the river's over there.
I don't think so. I think we just went over the fence last time.
Well, let's do that. I can hear the water, which is great. Watch your hands on it, because there's a little bit of wire that is marginally barbed. But if I can still get my leg over, anybody can. Do you know, I can't remember a week I didn't get nettled. For the, you know, apart from the indoor ones, every time you're outside. Good luck, everybody. I hope you can stay with us. This is amazing. People have described this as a witchy wood, and it does look absolutely perfect for that. And there is Mitford Bridge just over yonder. Now there's a mysterious light here, apparently. Maybe it's too late of an evening, but just along here, look at that. I'm so glad we've come down, Tony.
Yeah, the screen's gone off.
Has
I
it?
knew it would.
Shall we just continue?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's not much else we can do, is there?
All right. So, I'm so glad we came down here. Just take a look at that, Tony. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Some people make claims of witchcraft down here. Some people say, no, it never happened. It's the kind of place that people who believed in nature, I could see, coming down to christen their children in the natural waters that pour along the Wansbeck, the beautiful clear water. And as you can see, there's trees carved down by the side of the river. Now, before there was a bridge, if you look across at the far side, that would be absolutely perfect for people to sit and then reach down with a newly born infant. Now, when you say they're being christened, they didn't christen them because there was no such thing as Christ to them. A lot of the people didn't believe in Christianity at all, but they came down to the river to pay tribute. And it's where Christians got the idea to put their children in water, because the people from back in the day absolutely believed that water is where we all came from. If you go back far enough, we all came from the water. And on doing that, you have to give something back. So beneath bridges, for centuries, people would drop a little tribute. They would come down to the river and leave a little gift, leave a little something. Warriors have left swords. Women have left things that they have made. And you give it back to nature as a thank you for looking after.
I think there's a bit of wall that way as well.
Families, there is, absolutely.
Rightly.
Yeah. Some of the wall may well have been pinched from the castle to act as like edging of a farmer's field. And it's up here that I'm going to set. Now, we mentioned before that up there at the castle, Sibylla is supposed to have a ghost. I think there's a little bridge here as well, if I remember. Yes, there is. There it is, Tony. It's so easy for one ghost hunt to, in your head, because we've done so many of them, slide into the next one. But I'm going to just go to the bridge, and then we'll come back and we'll set up here and we'll see if we get absolutely anything at all. I'm not feeling it yet.
No, I think it would have been up there where the lads are the best place.
I think so too. And maybe we should come back on a winter night.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
when
it's darker.
people are less likely to
It must have
hang
been
around.
darker last time, but I do remember it being a bit light as well.
Yeah, so do I.
But I suppose
So it says CCTV installed on these premises. I dig it, and fair enough. But I don't think they're going to kill me standing on the bridge. So I'm not entering the premises. I'm just standing on this amazing bridge. And you see the little tiny burn.
yeah,
you know.
there's a little fencing path that way, we never done last time.
Yeah,
Doesn't say private. Oh, private property.
yes it does. But just look at this place. If we're looking for somewhere to be surrounded by nature, now you're about 6 minutes, 7 minutes from Morpeth, from the town centre, and yet look at this place. And yes, there's one or two people around, but not many at all. So there is a ghost in this magnificent wonderland known, and it's one of those ghost stories that disappeared back in the 1800s. It was called the ghost of the shining light. Other people called it the Mitford Linty. And Tony, if you look along the river that heads to Morpeth, just along there, you see how the river coils round like a snake?
Yeah.
It is amazing. And it's around here, around this area where we are now, probably for the last 50 or 60 yards. And you can also see some of the stone from the castle. And you know, when people say, well, why would there be a ghost here and why would there be a ghost there? Well, think about it. Imagine you've lost your life trying to climb over a castle wall, and then later on somebody comes and moves the castle wall. One of the most common ways that ghosts appear or show themselves is when you move the energy that they exist in. Most people know that if you revamp your house, you take a door out, turn it into a wall, and you put the door somewhere else. If the energy has to travel in a way that it's not used to naturally, bit of feng shui there, you'll likely get spirit, you'll get some kind of energy reaction. Oh, that was almost like metallic kind of battling noise there.
Yeah.
What? Oh, there's another one.
Again.
What the hell's that? You've got an amazing view, all you guys, and because it's as light as it is, you're really getting the benefit of it. Whenever I see trees like that's behind me, Tony,
Yeah.
you see this here?
I know, it's smashed off. Amazing.
But you know, when we're talking about, well, the elfin people came, and I know it's the kind of thing that people said regularly in the 17 to 1800s. There was a lot of stories in a lot of places. But when you see the wood literally snapped out of the earth and trees hollowed inside out and ivy taking it back over again, you can absolutely understand why people say such things. While you're searching for the elfin folk, I'm going to get Suki out. We're going to give him a go.
Try to split the stream as well, probably a good time.
Already, cheapers. I mean, it might be that we go to the church.
Yeah.
If we don't get the castle tonight, we will get the castle in future.
Yes.
But I'm still aiming to go. On our way back, we'll have a check. We've tried so hard. You've had a few amazing stories, but there's an awful lot more to come. Also, a story about an amazing family that had contacts with famous people and famous events right across the world. That a story I've never told you before, but it's all part and parcel of the glory that is Mitford. So sorry we haven't got anything ghostly up to this point. It starts now. If you'd like to join us on the other side, Tony, what do they have to do?
Just hit join if you're on YouTube, or there's a link in the video description, and Facebook and YouTube, you can join there as well.
Please come and join us on the other side while I get some kit out and we try and get some reaction here. Come on, Suki. Save the show with your magnificence. I would love you to do that if you possibly could. Hang on. Yes.